Welcome back to Sports on Tap, live from Z's Cream and Bean, 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley, Ohio. Ed, does it border four cities?
It does, in fact, border four cities.
What four cities are they?
Brunswick, Strongsville, Hinckley, and North Royalton.
That's right. And now we're going to switch gears and focus on the big dogs, the prizes of the year. The football year is coming to an end. We are looking at seven state title games going on. Some of them going on right now. Some will be going on between, Friday, Saturday. So let's go ahead and start looking ahead and seeing exactly what we have going on. So, Ed, who is currently playing on Thursday night, tonight, right now?
I believe it's Massillon, Perry, and Columbus DeSales, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a rematch. That's a rematch of last year's state title game.
And that's the Division
Two championship. Yes,
being played Thursday night. And currently, we have an update from Josh, who is winning that game.
It was Massillon Perry. They were up 7-0 in the first quarter. LaSalle.
Cincinnati LaSalle.
Yeah.
My fault.
Cincinnati
LaSalle. Columbus DeSales. I don't know where I got that from.
Yes.
My
I think
fault.
they're Division 3.
Cincinnati LaSalle struggling on offense. Turnovers the key so far. Once again, Perry up 7-0 early in the game.
All right.
Nice.
All right. So let's take a look at the. Let's go right down the list here, and start with Division 1, which will, if I can pull this up.
Division 1, Region 1?
No, Division 1, period. This is the state championship.
Right.
So Division 1 has St. Ignatius taking on St. Xavier.
Yep.
Yes. So you have the 13-1 Cleveland St. Ignatius Wildcats taking on the 9-5 Cincinnati St. Xavier Bombers. St. Xavier is the first team to go 5-5 in the regular season and make it to the state championship game.
That's
and
crazy.
they're attempting to become the first 500 team in the regular season to win the state championship.
Yeah, they beat Sycamore 35-28 in overtime in their Region 4 matchup, and Ignatius came out of Region 1 as they beat Powell Olentangy Liberty 24-14. So that's how those two guys are matching up in the championship.
Yeah, and this is a rematch of a Week 8 contest at Cincinnati, where St. Xavier did lose to St. Ignatius by a score of 31-14. That obviously propelled Ignatius into one of the top spots in Division 1 Region 1, where St. Xavier just kind of kept hanging on in the bottom of Division 1 Region 4. They end up qualifying as the number 5 seed, and were able to take out Fairfield. They also took out They also took out Coleraine, Sycamore, and Pickerington Central on the way to their championship run, two of which were overtime games against Pickerington Central. It was a 29-27 contest. So St. Xavier has they've played a lot of close games leading up into the state championship game, and it's not easy to beat the same team twice. But we'll see if St. Ignatius is up to the task once again.
Yeah, that's a like you said, that's a pretty great story for St. Xavier, Cincinnati going 5-5. A lot of people saying, "Hey, are they even going to make the playoffs?" But again, you look at their body of work, and the teams that they played and beat is just massive amounts of computer points. And I think this is going to be a really good battle because St. Ignatius is, as you mentioned, is just been really kind of putting it on teams for most of the playoffs, whereas Cincinnati St. Xavier, it seemed like it kind of took them a little bit of time to get going, and once they did, they're one of those dangerous teams that you don't want to run into right now. So hopefully, I'm expecting this. Obviously, it's the Friday night 8 p.m. primetime game. That you'll be tuned into there. So that's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. And it's weird because over years past is that the Saturday night was always Division I games. So usually you're out with your at a bar or something like that looking at that game's usually on. So now it's on a Friday night. I'm very, very interested to see that particular game tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at a team like St. Xavier, the 5-5 record is very misleading. They played national power St. John Bosco out of California to start their season, took it 34-0 loss. They then lost to Coleraine in overtime, and then they had 3 straight losses near the end of the year. against LaSalle, Warren Central from Indiana, one of the best teams in the state of Indiana, and then before losing to Ignatius. So, it's kind of the same deal that you talked about with St. Ed's and St. Ignatius up in this area, where they have to play a lot of these out-of-state games. And they can afford to lose 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 games and still qualify for the playoffs. And when they do, they're still one of the best teams in their region, regardless of their record.
All right, so let's move on to Division II. That's currently being played. Massillon Perry versus Cincinnati LaSalle.
7-0 at the half.
7-0 at the half. So that obviously it's a pretty. I think with any state championship game, guys, you rarely get a blowout, and if you do, it's in the lower divisions where just a team like Coldwater, for instance, in Division 5 is just constantly there, and they know how to win that particular game. I don't remember seeing a lot of blowouts. That's why these are the 2 best teams in the state in each division. So maybe a lot of low-scoring games, a couple defensive battles, or the opposite, a shootout. I've looked over the last couple of years. I don't remember seeing. I mean, there are a couple here and there, but not a lot of blowouts. So that you're definitely at the cream of the crop. No one's at the state finals by accident. So they've earned their way there, and they're definitely all trying not to make that fatal mistake. And I think that's what it comes down to in this game is who's going to make that mistake, who's going to capitalize on that mistake, or who's going to have someone step up and play.
You look at a team like Massillon Perry, they're very, the last couple of games they've given up 6 points and 3 points. So defense is a big, big part of their game, and then they run the hell out of the ball on the offensive end. So they like ball control, field position, and play with their defense.
Yeah, and you mentioned ball control. Looking at some of the halftime stats real quick, just real briefly looking over the team stats, both teams seem to be focusing more on the run. LaSalle only 8 passing attempts, and Perry has only 3. Both of them only with 1 completion each. So I believe for a total of 3 yards between the 2 teams. So running ball control is definitely the name of this game as we go forward.
All right. So we'll definitely keep an eye on Massillon Perry versus Cincinnati LaSalle for the Division II state championship. Moving on, Division III. This game's going to be played at 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. This has Trotwood Madison at 12-2 taking on Akron, Archbishop Hoban at 13-1. Really, in my opinion, looking at the bracket coming into this for this total state, for this division over the state, these were the 2 teams I think that were on that destiny to meet each other. These are the 2 best teams I think in Division III. They are really, really good teams, very well coached. I mean, Trotwood Madison, again, that's more my neck of the woods where I went to high school. And to see them be as good as they are over the last 10 years maybe, last 5-10 years, is just amazing to me because at one time this was a bottom of the barrel type of team. It was a team you schedule on homecoming. You know what I mean? It was the one that you beat up on, and now it's a complete 180. This team is consistently making the playoffs and consistently getting into in that almost in that Coldwater type situation where if you want to get the state championship, it's going to have to go through Trotwood Madison. Same could be said for Hoban too. Don't discount this team. This team has ruled it all year. I mean, with only 1 loss coming in, and really just been rolling people in their journey to the state finals. So I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup at 3 p.m. on Saturday, down in Columbus. So I think definitely if you have an opportunity, you don't want a Christmas shop, you don't want to put up any more decorations.
Take a break.
You can't watch any more Hallmark movies. You can't talk about the college football playoff anymore.
Hallmark movies.
You can't talk about whether or not Ohio State's in or Michigan's in. Watch some good old classic high school football.
And Akron Archbishop Hoban, they are the defending Division III state champions. So this is they're obviously defending a state championship led by offensively by quarterback Danny Clark going to Kentucky and running back Todd Sibley who's going to Pitt. They were able to take out Toledo Central Catholic last year in the state championship, and like Sean said, I mean Trotwood Madison provides more than a competent challenge for them. So we'll see what happens in the Division III game tomorrow. Saturday at 3 p.m.
Well, how disappointing was it for Toledo Central Catholic? Last year they got knocked out by Archbishop Hoban. This year they got knocked out 36-0. Versus Trotwood Madison. So both those teams knocking out Toledo Central Catholic, and it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it will be. And like I said, if those two teams, I think, were on a path to meet each other in this particular game. So let's move on to Division 4. This game will be played tomorrow at 3 p.m. It has Columbus Bishop Hartley taking on Steubenville. Bishop Hartley is coming in at 12-2, whereas Steubenville is 13-1. Guys, this one again is probably another good classic matchup. I think this one may be more of the type we're seeing tonight versus Massillon Perry and LaSalle. Defensive game, maybe want to run the ball, more ball control. Maybe a lower scoring game. Who knows? But definitely, like I said, these are two teams again that are the cream of the crop, and they rose, and now they're playing, in the state finals.
Yeah, I mean, Steubenville is your classic Catholic versus public school matchup here. The Steubenville Big Red. Football is a very, very big part of their town. They live and die by it, just much like the Massillon and the Massillon area and some of the other areas around the state. And it's always a good thing when Steubenville is one of the best teams in the state. Just from a state perspective. They had a couple of games out of they played 4 games out of state this year. They play an independent schedule as well. Their only loss is to Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, who just recently lost to Akron Archbishop Hoban. So they play a very competitive schedule, and you can tell with how they've run through the playoffs so far, they really haven't had many close games going into this game against Bishop Hartley. Bishop Hartley plays a lot of the big Columbus schools, and they had a big game against Kettering Alter. They were able to get past them 14-7 in the state semifinals. But up until that point, it's been a pretty good run for them as well. So, your classic Catholic versus public school debate, reigns supreme here in Division 4.
Yeah, and looking at Bishop Hartley, they had one other close game, 38-35, Ottawa Glandorf. They were 11-1, but you look at Steubenville, they knocked off Perry. They were 12-0 and the number 1 seed in Region 13 there. So they knocked them off 51-27 to get to the championship. So they're always there, though.
And it's no surprise. I mean, this is a rematch of the Division 4 state championship from last year, where Columbus Bishop Hartley won on a 40-yard field goal by Ben Hawk in the fourth quarter to win 31-28. So, there is no surprise that these guys are back at it and doing battle once again for the state championship.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good matchup. Again, that game, Bishop Hartley versus Steubenville, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Guys, moving on, we have our Saturday night main event in the Division 5. We have Canton Central Catholic at 10-3 taking on perennial power in that division, Coldwater. And guys, looking at this game, I know why it's at 8 o'clock, and I don't think it's the luck of the draw. I think they want to put one of the top teams in the state of Ohio is Coldwater. They're constantly in the playoffs, constantly going for state Final Four. They're a juggernaut down there. I think this one is going to be a pretty good game, but I look for Coldwater to, if ever there was a setup, and to take nothing away from Central Catholic and how they did this year, but Coldwater is just a beast to deal with in any playoff scenario. I don't think they were in a close game all throughout the playoffs, and I think that's just a testament to that program constantly turning over. There's a sense of understanding of what is going on in that program. When you play for Coldwater, you're playing for a state title. So definitely a good game to watch tomorrow at 8 p.m. if you don't want to watch any of the Saturday at 8 o'clock. If you want to watch, again, if you're sick of the Hallmark movies.
Stop. I come here to Z's and I do
Josh
this
loves
show with
them.
you
He's
guys
actually-
to get away from Hallmark.
You're getting mad that Sean's dissing Hallmark.
No,
we
he's
get
getting-
it.
He's
We
getting,
get it.
He's getting physically angry at me for even mentioning the word.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh and our wrestler buddy Pino might take you down here sooner than later.
Between the two of you guys wave my leg, so bring
Yeah.
it on.
Oh man!
But this is another rematch from last year's championship. So Canton Central Catholic and Coldwater did battle last year in the Division 5 state championship, won by Coldwater by a score of 35-18. And as you mentioned, Sean, I mean, Coldwater they're perennial powerhouses. Their only loss this year is to Minster, and Minster they are in fact playing for the Division 7 championship. So not particularly a bad loss.
No.
Canton Central Catholic, one of my best friends from college, Tom Webb went there. He did win a state championship there, and I'm sure that all the Crusaders are looking forward to this matchup from their perspective to see if they can get back at Coldwater.
That's right, and like I said, that game tomorrow, not tomorrow, Saturday night, primetime game, 8 o'clock. A lot of these are going to be on your local TV channels. I know Time Warner Cable does a really good job of these. If you don't have Time Warner Cable, I imagine you could probably find some other places to watch it from. The Ohio High School Athletic Association Radio Network will be broadcasting all 7 of these games. So for more information, you can go to that particular website and find the closest one you have. Moving on, we have our Division 6 game here. Cuyahoga Heights, the undefeated Redmen of Cuyahoga Heights, taking on Warren John F. Kennedy at 13-1. I'm sorry, that's wrong, completely wrong.
Yeah, I was
Maria Stein Marion Local at
There you
13-1.
go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Marion Local gets their Cuyahoga Heights. What a year they've had.
Yeah.
They get there beating Newark Catholic 30-14 at Orville High School, and what a season they've had. They're undefeated so far this year, going into the championship game.
I think they're the only undefeated team in the state finals this
Yes,
year.
they are the remaining undefeated team in the state. They're the only team that has not lost one game in the state. And to your point, Rob, a very impressive season for Cuyahoga Heights up to this point. They shut out Kirtland not just once but twice.
Wow.
And Kirtland's been the bane of Cuyahoga Heights' existence for years, not only in conference play but also in the playoffs. And for Cuyahoga Heights to finally get over the hump, it's just a special season for them. Going up against Maria Stein Marion Local, this is their second. They are returning to the state championship game and having lost to that same Kirtland team last year by a score 22-20. Marion Local's got to be looking at this game and thinking to themselves, well, we weren't able to take out Kirtland last year. This team took out Kirtland twice and didn't let up any points doing it.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It's always great for a local team like Cuyahoga Heights as well. To make it, and a small school within this area. So we'll see what they can do.
And that game kicks off tomorrow at 10 a.m. And again, you can listen to it or watch it on Time Warner Cable or through the radio. And our final game kicks off Division 7, Minster taking on Warren John F. Kennedy. I knew they were going to play sometime. That game is Saturday at 10 a.m. And that, again, 10-4 Minster and 13-1 Kennedy. Those two teams, again, very little. They considered the smaller of the schools in that particular division just based upon size and things like that. But still, a lot of the quality games come out of that. A lot of teams find a way, or a lot of these games are very competitive because it's maybe two teams that don't have similar styles or not used to each other's styles. And, they could become a kind of either a shootout or a defensive battle or anything like that. So, great season for Minster and Kennedy. They, like I said, Minster 10-4. I think they have the most losses. Oh, no. I mean, outside of Xavier with 5, but, I mean, that's the second most losses coming into a team. So they had to overcome some adversity this year to get to the state finals. And, again, Kennedy 13-1 and looking to, both these teams looking to get a state championship under their belt.
Yeah, so far you look at John Kennedy, Warren John Kennedy. I mean, 48-7 win over Canal Winchester Harvest Prep, and they've played really well so far in the playoffs. Their best game was Mogador, 16-3. Mogador's a tough team, but really the rest of the games have pretty much been blowouts for them. So Minster coming in, playing solid. Had some close games. Played some tough matchups, but this is going to be a pretty good game to go watch.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think all these games are going to be fun to watch, and as I was talking about, a lot of these teams, the only time they would ever see them is in the state finals. So it's going to be very interesting to really watch all of these games. And do we have an update or anything from Massillon Perry as of yet, or are they still at half?
Still at the half.
Still at the half, 7-0. Massillon Perry leading Cincinnati LaSalle for the Division II state title. Guys, kind of put a bow on this season. I mean, we saw a lot of great games. We saw, as we mentioned, I think the last time we got together, I had you all run down your your favorite moments or your favorite game. I didn't ask Ed because Ed spent most of his time. What was your favorite Brunswick moment this year as a coach or as a member of that staff?
Well, I mean, whenever you beat Strongsville, it's always a big deal, And so, I mean, for us to be able to end the season on that high, the 31-7 victory on Strongsville's home field, obviously both of our records weren't where we wanted them to be, and we obviously had a lot of things to go through this year. My wife hates when the word adversity is used to describe anything that's related to sports. But I think it is rather appropriate for, as much of it was self-created by our own team. There was a lot of adversity that we had to face. I don't really need to rehash all that. I think it's pretty well documented what the team had to go through this year. So, to be able to end the season on a high note and going into the off season, all things considered, due to recent events. That was the highlight of the year for me, and really just getting to coach my cousin. That was probably the most important part too. Is coaching another part of my family who's my cousin. We grew up across the street from each other. He had a great year, 28 of 30 on field goals, or extra points, 6 of 7 on field goals. He had statistically one of the best years in Brunswick history, and to have been a part of that was my highlight of the year by far.
And just for those of you listening who do not know.
Yeah.
The recent events Ed was talking about, it was Brunswick has parted ways with friend of show, Coach Luke Beal. So we wish him the best of luck. I'm sure he will definitely land another coaching job in the near future. So best of luck to him as Brunswick starts to move in a different direction. We'll keep you updated once we hear anything, possible candidates or hirings, if we hear anything.
And, there's so many teams, going for a state championship. Do you know how hard it is really to make the state championship?
Yes.
You go through the playoffs, you go through regular season, you have ups and downs, but, just making it there is such an accomplishment by all of these teams. Nobody knows what each team goes through, but to make it there is really tough. And, congratulations to all of them. They're going to be playing now and throughout the weekend. Congratulations to all those teams and teams that did make the playoff and had great years. It was a fun year for us covering the teams, talking to coaches, players, and even now talking to Berea Mid-Park and the wrestling team, Brunswick soccer. That's what it's about. We love talking about high school sports. So if you want to get on our show or you want to send us stats and have us talk about them on the air, sportsontap.podcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. YouTube, all over the place. But, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Great job tonight.
Yep.
And good luck to all the teams going for a state championship.
Absolutely. So,
Sean Duffy,
everybody.
everybody.
Take it out? I'll take it out. I love it.
You started, you got to take it out.
All right.
The FNG leading us out.
For Rob Troutman, our board op / music man, Josh Jeffy.
I prefer executive producer. Thank you.
Board op, music man, intern, Josh Jeffy.
Oh, whoa.
And I'm fired, so whatever.
He snuck the intern out on his
guy
last
who's going to
night.
be taken down by two little guys. Big guy it's
Bring it.
happening.
Hey,
Bring it.
everybody say goodbye. Sean Duffy's last night
my
on Sports
last
on
night.
Tap.
Yeah, no.
That's why we
And
give
for
you
our,
alone.
and for our stat wizard Ed Dick here, I want to say everyone have a good night. Good luck to all the teams, like Rob said, and we will catch you next time.
You are now the FFG.
Are you calling me fat?
Fired.
Oh. You can't fire me. I quit. All right, so
good
we'll see you
stuff.
next time on Sports on Tap. Again, thank you to Z's for letting us come out. Thank you to all
Right.
of our guests. And if you're ever in the neighborhood and you get a hankering for some ice cream, definitely come up here and get some.
They also have chilies and chili
Yes,
soup.
they do.
Coffee.
And the coffee.
Coffee, hot
Coffee
chocolate.
was fantastic tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a milkshake probably,
There you go.
per usual.
All right. For Ed Dick, Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy, I'm Rob Troutman. We're Sports on Tech, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.
Josh, you want to close the show too?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I bailed. I mean,
He bailed. He wanted me to
I
do
got
it.
fired, so I didn't want to.
You're hired after the show.
Oh, fantastic.
All right.
'Cause you
See
need
you
me to
guys.
carry stuff.
Have a great weekend. See ya.